Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. I'm not very happy with this organization right now, so I'm going to try to keep this episode short and sweet, get to the point and get out. You know, one of the things that I realized today that, you know, I hadn't been abundantly apparent before is that Ron just realized what he had gotten himself into. I wasn't sure. There were times where, you know, I speculated and I could look at his face. I could tell that he was wearing a little bit of extra stress because of what this organization entails. And I don't think he ever really fully grasped what he was getting himself into when he took this job, or else he wouldn't have taken this job, which is why a lot of us were shocked that he chose us. Remember, I keep saying this. Ron chose us. We didn't choose him. You know, he was interviewing Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder was not interviewing him. You know, Dan, in his own warped mind, probably thought, hey, this is the Washington football team. This is one of the most prestigious organizations in the NFL. You should be glad to work here. No, it's the other way around. You should be glad that somebody wants to work here. And so I was shocked. I can't speak for anybody else out there. I see a lot of the people, you know, that are, not in favor of Ron being the head coach here, saying, you know, we need to fire Ron. We need to get somebody else in here. Who the hell else wants this job? This job is shit. And Ron I really felt like the last 3 weeks or so, but, you know, some of it was his own doing. He brought Ryan Vermillion here, and then he had the, you know, FBI raid here and at his home, and you know, at the team facility, I should say, and at home. And so that brought a little bit of negativity. And then it just felt like the floodgates opened after that. You know, you got the story with, you know, Gruden, and you know, that came from us, obviously, with our investigation and the emails. And now there's more email news coming out about Bruce Allen and him being, you know, chums with one of the NFL's highest ranking attorneys. And there's more emails. And every day we get little bits and pieces. You get your hopes up, hoping that just maybe something is tied to Snyder, but I think most of it is going to be linked to Bruce Allen. And most of these emails that they're talking about have nothing to do with Snyder, but rather Bruce Allen, which I'm still saying, hey, it's all under the umbrella of, Dan Snyder. Get his ass out of here. But that's nor here nor there. You know, it's that stuff coupled with the, you know, Washington Post article about the team paying, you know, people, former employees, to keep their mouths shut about the culture here in Washington. And then, you know, you do the Sean Taylor thing and you F that up and you get this massive backlash there. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think he realized for the very first time, man, this job is the worst. What did I get myself, my wife, and my family into? And so he was asked at the podium today, because Ron has made it known that he wants to move forward. He doesn't want to keep talking about the past, doesn't want to keep harping on things that happened before he got here. He wants a fresh, clean slate, which is impossible when you're dealing with this organization, because shit never goes away. You know, we have this dark cloud over us, and it just follows us, and it just doesn't go away. And not to mention, when you've been suffering for 30 years as a fan base, any little thing can set you off. So you want to start anew. The only way that you start to push some of that baggage back into the past and leave it there is to start to win and create new history, to create new memories, positive ones. Not the same old shit that we keep putting in a brand new DVD and getting the same movie over and over again, because that's what it feels like. Literally, we're putting in a movie, we're hitting rewind, and we're watching the same shit over and over and over and over again. So until the product on the field starts to drown out some of the noise on the field, we're going to keep revisiting the shit off the field because there's really nothing to talk about on the field. But Ron today acknowledged the fact that, yes, this shit is heavy, man. Every time I think we're moving in a positive direction, some more of this shit from the past starts to come back and gobble us up, and we got to start fighting those demons again. Welcome to Washington. Welcome to Washington, where Super Bowl winning coaches get gobbled up and spit out. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he's been to one. And if he's not careful, he'll end up in the Washington head coaching cemetery with Joe Gibbs 2.0, with Mike Shanahan, and all of the guys that we thought could help turn this thing around that had chops and NFL pedigree when they got here. None of them left with winning records. As good as we felt about Joe 2.0, and really, he was the most successful out of all these coaches because he's the only one that went to the postseason twice. Joe still left here with a losing record. We know what happened with Shanahan. I am on board with Ron's plan, but I think Ron is realizing, man, I don't know if I can do this. This is really hard. It's going to take a lot more effort than I thought. I think that's more so. I don't think Ron's checking out. I don't think Ron's quitting. I don't think Ron, is giving up, waving the white towel or anything like that, or waving the white flag. I think Ron is essentially saying to himself, and he said it out loud today, this is a lot harder than I thought. This is going to require a lot more work, and I want more time, but I don't know if I'm going to get that time. Obviously, I said last year, and Ron said it this week, maybe winning the division wasn't, I've said this all off season since we won the division. I'm glad we won. And if I had to do it over again, I'd do it again. I wanted to win. You can't replace winning. You can't replace the feeling of winning and what it means to a team and what they gain from that. But I told you, the fan base isn't going to care about Ron's plan. They're not going to care about a process. They're not going to want to wait. They're not going to have the patience to see this thing through. And more likely than not, neither is Dan Snyder. That's been his problem his entire career as an owner, is that he hasn't had patience. He hasn't allowed processes to play themselves out. He wants instant gratification. He's no better than a fan. And that's part of the problem. He's nothing but an old-ass, impatient fan that just has a ton of money. So he's able to buy the team. But he's not rational in his thinking process. So if this thing goes south this year, which it's heading down that path, and next year it's not much better, and let's say they get a quarterback and that guy ends up stinking, because more likely than not, if we draft a quarterback next year, that guy's going to stink. More likely than not. Because the quarterback draft class next year stinks. So if we draft one, more likely than not, we're going to get a mediocre to below average quarterback. That's my thought process. Now, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong. But more likely than not, that's what's going to end up happening. And if they get that wrong, coupled with the fact that, what a lot of people are saying this week, is that part of the reason Washington is struggling is because the free agency period didn't go as well for them this year like it did last year. Well, I know what happened last year, and I know what happened this year. You guys know what happened last year and know what happened this year. You know where the thread was. There's a thread that isn't common to this year and last year. I don't have to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you anyway, though. I mean, that's what I do. Who picked the players this year versus who picked the players last year? Ron, I think, is starting, and I said this, I think Monday's episode, maybe it was last week. I think it was this week, though. I said Ron is starting to feel the pressure. I think it was Tuesday because he had a radio interview, and I said he's starting to feel the pressure after hearing that interview. Ron's starting to feel the pressure. And there's a lot going on, man. And I don't think he actually knew what he was signing up for. And I've said that before, but Ron's never confirmed it. Well, he sort of confirmed it today. Like, yeah, this is a lot. This is a little bit more than I thought. I didn't think the past would continue to haunt us, but here we are talking about some shit that I had nothing to do with yet again. Well, that's because the owner is still here, and as long as he's here, there's always going to be some shit that you had nothing to do with that is going to impact you and your ability to do your job. Get in line, okay? That's always been the thing, is that this owner is so toxic that even though you have nothing to do with the shit that he's got going on, it's going to impact you, because if you get in bed with him, you're going to get dirty too. Simple as that. And Ron is figuring that out slowly but surely, but he's in too deep now. There's nothing he can do. And I hope Ron's plan is able to stay on course, because this week was rough. Not just for fans, but for Ron and company. This thing could culminate in an ass whooping this weekend, and that could send things over the top. Hard environment to focus in when you got so many different things going on. They botched the Sean Taylor thing. We'll talk about that one more time, and then I'll just let it go. You know, no sense in crying over spilt milk. You know how I operate. But they botched that thing, so they had to hear from the fans. The product on the field, you know, you lose a game you had no business losing to the Saints, so that pissed a lot of people off. You have injuries, so that's complicating things. You got a couple of trainers that are being investigated by the FBI that are on leave right now from the organization. You got Washington Post articles. You got New York Times articles. You got articles all over the place that trace back to this organization. The origins of all of the mess trace back to this organization. So there are more questions. Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, there's a Washington football team F up. I told you last year was a honeymoon. You know, Ron was the golden boy. He could do no wrong. He had cancer. He overcame it. He was a great story. They won games. They won the division. Everything was great. They pressed all the right buttons. Kyle Smith picked all of these great players that worked out. J.D. McKissick and Cornelius Lucas played a massive role for us. And Logan Thomas turned out to be a really good gem and find. And all of the buttons that were pressed by Kyle Smith last year. Ron got credit for that. Well, Ron got rid of Kyle Smith. He got his own guys in here. And they brought all these players in. And so far, outside of a couple of draft picks, and even the ones that were giving us some production, they've gotten hurt, like Sam Cosmi. They haven't pressed the right buttons. William Jackson III has been a disaster to this point. Curtis Samuel can't get healthy to stay on the field. I mean, these are your high-priced off-season pickups. Ryan Fitzpatrick literally played a quarter of football here. These are the guys that they brought in to change the game, move the needle, and give this team a chance to win this season and moving forward. And so far, it's been an abject disaster. Look, you can't blame injuries and fault anyone for that, because injuries happen and you can't predict those things. But I just know that all of that stuff falls in your lap if you're Ron Rivera, and it's not looking too good for that guy right now. But it's Ron's plan. And I said that before, and I'll say it again. And I'm with the process. I'm with the entire process. I know the process isn't pretty. It's never pretty when you have to go through a rebuild, which is what we're essentially doing. He's trying to build this thing up the way that he envisions it being built. But it makes it that much harder when you got to deal with the shit that comes with being a part of the Washington football team organization. And Ron, I think, is starting to really, truly feel it and figure that out. How he deals with that is going to be really interesting. But he wanted coach-centric here in Washington. Here you go, Ron. Welcome to Washington. In other news, we got some, I told you, I don't like surprises on the injury report. They're never good. Okay? I've always said that. I don't like surprises. Let me know what's going on Wednesday, and I'll track it as the week progresses. I don't want a guy like on Thursday, out of nowhere, Sammy Reyes shows up on the injury report. I don't like surprises on the injury report. They're never good. If a guy wasn't up there before and he shows up, that means something happened. I don't like surprises on the injury report. We got another one today. Out of nowhere, here's Terry in a hamstring on the injury report. What the hell is going on? All of a sudden, Ryan Vermillion isn't here and shit's falling off a guy's left and right. I mean, seriously, what is going on? I mean, the minute this guy has to be investigated, the wheels fall off of our team in terms of health. Remember, the first game that he missed was the Atlanta game. He did not travel with the team. Ever since then, guys are dropping left and right. We had like 9 dudes get injured in that Falcons game. The next week, we had another 3 or 4 guys go down. And now guys are falling down left and right at practice. Like, we didn't have injuries crop up during the week when Ryan Vermillion was here. Now all of a sudden, this guy's got a back, this guy's got a hammy out of nowhere. Like, this shit wasn't on the injury report on Wednesday. This didn't come from the last game. Where's this shit coming from? I don't know. Stop asking. Let's get to the injury report, take a look at it, see what's going on. Look, I will tell you this. We got a win with the Chiefs injury report. But let's take a look at what's going on for week number 6. So let's start with the players that aren't going to play. Sam Cosmi is out with the ankle. We kind of figured that. I told you guys I didn't think he would play this week. Next week, he may be able to go. But this week was a long shot. He's out. Jared Norris, that's a big loss. I know we don't talk about him because he's a special teamer, but he's a core special teamer. And you never like to lose a fiend, and he's a fiend. We still got Troy Apke and David Mayo, and so we'll be fine. But you never want to lose a guy like Jared Norris. He's out with the shoulder injury. Curtis Samuel, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. He's out with the groin, and I've already said that if I were them, and, they don't want to do this because they've already done it once, so they don't want to do it again. I would just put his ass on IR and just have him come back after the bye week. Like Ron said early in the season, we don't want to yo-yo this guy. Curtis Samuel himself said, I don't want to be in and out of the lineup. Well, that's exactly what you guys are doing. Just either let him heal or you're going to keep having these issues. Just let him heal. Like, they keep they're so desperate and thirsty for him to get on the field that they're making the situation worse. They're pushing, and instead of them just letting it happen and get healthy, they're pushing, and they're making it worse. And I know what they want to do. They want him back on the field because they know how big of a piece he can be to this offense, but you're making the situation worse. You're exacerbating the problem. Just let him heal. He's out this week, though, and maybe that's a good thing. Brandon Sheriff is going to actually play, it looks like. I mean, he could be out again. I would say he's out. I remember last week, I think they did the same thing with him, where they didn't have his designation as if he's on IR or something. He's not playing in the game. So he's going to be out. Cam Sims is out with a hamstring. So those are the guys that are out. Sheriff, Sims, Samuel, Norris, and Cosmi. And I told you most of those guys would come from remember I cut it in half. Well, they keep adding guys to the list, so that first half isn't actually the first half anymore. Antonio Gibson is questionable with the shin, but this has been a trend the last month or so with him. He's playing. He's questionable, but he's playing. De'Ami Brown has been limited all week. He's questionable. He's playing. He's going to play. Sammy Reyes was limited today. He's questionable with the back. He's going to play. He's going to play. And then Terry with the hamstring was the surprise. Surprise! Terry's got a hamstring. Didn't practice today. But listening to Ron, it was more of a precautionary measure taken because Terry's hamstring felt a little tight today. That's never good, right? But you don't need Terry to practice. Terry knows what the hell's going on. He's a smart guy. So they decided to just kind of keep him out of practice today just for precautionary reasons. Terry's going to play. He's questionable, but he's going to play. So now Could that thing get tight again on Sunday? You're damn right it could. We're not out of the woods yet with any of these guys that are questionable. But as far as I'm concerned, Gibson, De'Ami Brown, Sammy Reyes, Terry McLaurin, all going to play in the game. And then, of course, Jonathan Allen, Cole Holcomb, James Smith-Williams, those were guys that I told you were going to play already. Like, you didn't have to worry about those guys. All of them were full participants today. They're not even listed as a game status because they're all going to play. So, interesting with Terry. I look at it as the same thing the Chiefs are going through. Speaking of the Chiefs, let's look at their injury report. So they've got quite a few guys out, just like we do. They've got 3 guys that are out. They've got 2 big ones. Obviously, the biggest one that I've been charting all week and I've been, telling you guys to keep an eye on was defensive lineman Chris Jones. He's a game wrecker. He's the second best defensive tackle in football behind Aaron Donald. And they have him listed as a defensive end because they play a 3-4, but this guy does most of his damage inside as a nose. Either way, he's not playing with the wrist injury. That's a win. He was the only guy up front that could really create havoc. We should be fine. From a pass rushing standpoint, Taylor Heineke should have time, and we're going to talk about that because their defensive coordinator is no dummy. He knows that that's the guy that can get pressure without having to blitz, so we're probably going to see a ton of blitzes. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but him being out, Chris Jones, is massive for us. That's a win because none of our guys that are out equal to Chris Jones being out. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a win for us. We don't get many wins in the injury department, but we got one this week. Travarius Ward, one of their starting corners, one of their, contributing corners, he's not playing. That's another win for us. They're already weak in the secondary, and you weaken them even more with him not being in the lineup. Blake Bell, one of their tight ends, being out, hurts them a little, but not a lot. Jaron Reed was never really an injury concern. We talked about that, so he is playing. Anthony Hitchens, full participant, is listed as questionable. He's going to play. Tyreek Hill with the quad. I told you all week long that they were just being precautious, just like we did with Terry today. He's going to play. He was never in jeopardy of not playing. He's questionable. Look at it like this. They've got a guy that is, their number one receiver that's dealing with something, but he's going to play. We got a guy that's our number one receiver that's dealing with something that's going to play. Just look at it as a wash. He's going to play, though. Joe Thuney. I told you, anytime you get an offensive lineman with a hand injury, really, highly unlikely they're going to miss the game. Even if they just had surgery 3 days ago, they're going to put a big cast on it, tape that thing up, wrap it like a mummy, and get out there. So he was a full participant today. He's listed as questionable. Joe Thuney's going to be out there. He's going to play. So they're going to miss 3 guys, and 2 of the 3 guys are key contributors. One in particular, one of the best players in the league. That's a win as far as I'm concerned. So it's pretty much a wash when you look at how many guys we have out and what they have out. We got an all-pro. They got an all-pro type player out, but we can replace our all-pro guy with someone that can get the job done. They can't replace their all-pro guy with a guy that can do the things he can do. So I'd say that's a win for us in the injury department. So I just wanted to clean up a few things with Sean Taylor's 21 retirement ceremony. We've heard apologies from Jason Wright, team president. We've heard multiple apologies from, the Washington organization and press releases. I don't want to hear any of that shit. I don't believe anything they say about this was planned for months, this, that, and the third. They may have had preliminary plans to have this thing on this particular week on the homecoming weekend. But it's hard for me to believe that you thought it was a good idea from a marketing standpoint to keep this under wraps until the week of the game. We really were planning on telling everyone on Monday, but so many things came out on Monday, so we weren't able to do it. I find that really hard to believe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just skeptical. And you've created so much doubt with your actions over the last 20 years with the Snyder regime. There's no way you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. You're lying, okay? You're lying through your teeth. and we smell your shit and it stinks. All you had to do was say, and they've said this, and that's all I wanted to hear. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want you to lie to us and say, we've been planning this for months. Just say, we effed up. Because that's what you did. You effed up. And how you effed this up is beyond me. I still can't comprehend this. This is the one thing I thought that was impossible to mess up. Because it takes little effort on your part. All you have to do is say, hey, we want to honor Sean, and this is when we want to do it. And have it be in enough time for people to make accommodations. That is it. It's not hard. Just like you told us in June, you wanted to honor Bobby Mitchell in the second week of the season against the Giants on a Thursday night. The same thing could have been done here. It's not hard. Hey, the same statement that President Jason Wright made, which is, hey, we want to honor a lot of these guys that we felt like should have been honored a long time ago. Well, we want to start to expedite this process. So we're going to get Bobby Mitchell and Sean Taylor, two of the guys in this organization that have left lasting legacies. We want to get them knocked out as soon as possible. Make sure that no one ever wears those jersey numbers in this franchise moving forward. Okay, great. Sounds like a plan. We're all on board. When? Then you give us the information and you move forward. Again, you're having tough time selling tickets and getting asses in seats. You want to have a game in particular where you want to box out the opposing team's fans. Do it on that day. You want to keep Cowboys fans, and that's why I know they did it because of this particular game. That's why I feel like you're lying, because you're going to get Cowboys fans and Giants fans and Eagles fans, and that's why you don't care to do it on those days. Because you know you're going to get fans of those teams that are going to come in, fill up your stadium, and you don't care whose money you get. You just want the money. You don't care if it comes from Cardinals fans or Cowboys fans or Giants fans or Eagles fans or Buccaneers fans or Saints fans. It was embarrassing watching the game and listening. You could hear it on TV. Defense chants in the third quarter while we're trying to come back in the damn game. You're hearing who they chants. Who that think they're going to beat the Saints? We're hearing that shit while we're watching the game in the fourth quarter. It was a road game, essentially. I don't really care about that, though. This is an environment that you've created. So I don't get mad about those things anymore. The bottom line is you effed up. And the thing that really has irked me the last 32 hours or so is that no one seems to really get the magnitude of how you effed up. Like Ron was dismissive of it. Oh, I think it's great what they're doing. And, hey, we made a mistake. Deal with it, essentially. No, bro, that's not how you get to approach this. Like, I didn't get the sense that they understood how big they just effed up. This was the one thing you couldn't F up, and you did. But it's homecoming. We're going to be wearing our throwbacks. And they're going to have a lot of the alumni back. And it's going to be a great honor to see Sean's number. And this is the thing that sucks. Us at home, like I told you, I had no intentions of going to the stadium ever again until they got a new one. Maybe this would have been something that would have gotten me out of my house and gotten me to the stadium. Because if you truly want to see a number retired, they're not going to show that on TV. You don't get to see that. You have to be at the stadium to witness, whether they do it before the game or at halftime. You have to be at the stadium physically to see it happen. You may get a little shot of it if it's at halftime, as CBS, and I'm going to talk about that in a second too, as CBS comes back from their first halftime break, and they'll show, Sean Taylor's family out on the field as they send one of the greatest Washington football team players' number into the rafters or whatever. And they'll show a shot of maybe Sean's, ex-fiance and his daughter, and they'll show the number, 21 in the jersey, and then they'll go back to break. That's all we'll get to see at home. We won't get to see anything. So, but we feel bad. So you can buy the Sean Taylor towels. This organization, man, I tell you, this organization. Wow. Unbelievable. So let's get to, because again, I've said this before, there is a football game. With all the shit that's going on this week, there actually will be a football game played on Sunday at 1:05 at FedEx Field against the Kansas City Chiefs on CBS. Let's get to the keys to the game and how we can find a way to get it done. So let's go behind enemy lines. I want to talk about CBS real quick. I hate playing on CBS. I think I've disclosed this to you before. I hate it with a passion. Not necessarily just the commentators, but they keep giving us the ex field goal kicker, Jay Feely. And for whatever reason, he irks me. He's not terrible. He doesn't do a bad job. He just irks me for some reason. I can't put my finger on it. Excuse me. Maybe it's because he's a kicker, and I'm like, he's a kicker. Why do I care what you have to say? I don't know, because that's disrespectful. Like, it's not like he didn't know the game. So I don't know what it is about Jay Feely, but I would prefer not to have Jay Feely doing a game. But in general, I just don't like having games on CBS that never goes well for us. That game against the Panthers last year, that was on CBS. It's one of our worst performances late in the season. I just tend to not want to have us play on CBS. It usually doesn't go well for us. That said, every year we usually win one game on CBS. We're 0 for 2 right now. We played on CBS twice this year, and we've lost both times. Week 1 against the Chargers was on CBS, and last week was on CBS, which was weird because we were playing the Saints. But, I think 3 years ago, they made it so that it didn't matter if it was an NFC game. You could get it. They cross-pollinate now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to have an AFC team to be on CBS anymore. So that was weird, and I didn't like it, and we lost. Maybe third time's the charm. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath. So let's get to the keys to the game. Washington offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. The first key to the game for the offense is play the Chiefs, not the scoreboard. Now, one of the things that has gotten Taylor Heinicke into trouble this year is he's played the scoreboard too often and not the team he was playing against. When he starts to scoreboard watch, he starts to press, he feels like he's got to make something happen. That's when mistakes and turnovers usually start to crop up with him. So in this game in particular, the scoreboard is going to continue to change. When the defense hits the field, the last time you saw the scoreboard when you were on the field, and the next time you hit the field, the scoreboard is going to look drastically different. You can't panic and freak out. You were down 3 the last time you were on the field. Now you're down 10. You can't freak out. You were down 10 the last time you were on the field. Now you're down 17. You can't freak out because there is no 17-point play. Just play the Chiefs, and whatever happens, happens. So I think that is important. Some of the worst plays he's made this season has been when we've trailed in games and he's been pressing. So don't play the scoreboard. Play the Chiefs. Handle the pressure is the next key to the game. And I'm specifically talking about Taylor Heinicke, but really the entire team offensively needs to handle the pressure of this football game. It's a big game. You got a chance to get back to 3 and 3 on the season, get back to 500. And if you don't, you're 2 and 4, and you got to go to Green Bay next week. It's a big game. Who you kidding? Who you fooling? It's a big game. That's why last week was so big. And you blew that opportunity. So there's going to be pressure in this football game. And who knows? This could be a road game. It could be a home game. Maybe people actually show up to support Sean and to see that number be retired, and you get a bunch of Washington fans in the stadium for once. But either way, more so than not, I'm talking about Taylor Heinicke handling the pressure of Steve Spagnuolo. They don't have their best interior pass rusher in Chris Jones, so he's going to have to manufacture pressure. He's going to send the dogs after Heinicke, and he's creative in doing it, and he's not bashful in doing that. Thus, there will be opportunities for you to hit a guy in stride and have big plays happen, but you've got to be able to see the pressure, know where it's coming from, and react accordingly, and the receivers have to see it and react accordingly as well. So They got to handle the pressure. The offensive line can't have, breakdowns up front and protection bust where guys are coming scot-free and Taylor Heinicke doesn't have a chance to react. They've got to make sure that, look, if we don't have enough to pick it up, fine, but we all got to be on the same page as to where we're going to have that free hitter come from. If Taylor Heinicke knows, I can't pick up this seventh guy, all right, we got 6 to pick up 7, and this free hitter is going to be off to my blind side on the backside, I got to be ready to get rid of this thing, then everybody needs to make sure they block it up and there isn't a guy coming free up the A-gap. Handle the pressure, and that goes for not just Taylor Heinicke, but the offensive line and the receivers, everyone, tight ends, running backs, everybody has to handle the pressure because it's coming in this game. Heinicke's legs to the rescue is the next key to the game. There's a common theme and thread among Chiefs opponents this year with regards to the quarterback and their ability to have to use their legs. We've seen teams have to have their quarterback be mobile because the Chiefs, as I just mentioned, aren't afraid to come after you. And some of the best rush days for some of these quarterbacks this year have been against the Chiefs defense because when you blitz, if you don't hit home, there are lanes and space and opportunities for the quarterback to get out and pick up yards. If you're playing man-to-man and you turn your back and you send pressure and it's picked up and you don't like what you see, you can take off and run. Josh Allen did that to them last week. Very successful. We all saw him jump and leap over a defender for a first down on a third down. Lamar Jackson had over 100 yards rushing. It's Lamar Jackson, I know, but still, he was able to take advantage of the pressure the Chiefs tried to apply and make things happen with his legs. Justin Herbert did the same thing. He was able to make things happen with his legs when he played against the Chiefs earlier this season, so forth and so forth. If you want to have success, Jalen Hurts, same thing. You want to have success against the Chiefs, you're going to have your quarterback take off and run when the opportunity presents itself. Heinicke's done a really good job of doing that the last couple of weeks. He needs to continue to do that in this game. Red zone offense must show up. I think this might be the biggest key offensively outside of taking care of the football, which is the final key, and I'll just say it right now. Protect the Duke. You know what it is. I don't have to harp on that. That's one of the keys every damn week, and when we don't protect the Duke, we lose. It's easy. It's nothing to talk about. It's a simple equation. When we've protected the football this year, for the most part, we've either won or had a chance to win. When we've had one or no turnovers, we've either won or been in the game with a chance to win. 2 or more turnovers, and we've lost, and really, it hasn't been close. We turned it over twice in the game against the Saints. Heinicke with 2 really bad interceptions. We get our doors blown off by 11. Didn't feel like a blowout, but it was. We didn't have a chance to win at the end. Heinicke, and really the entire team, you had Logan Thomas with a fumble, Heinicke with a bunch of interceptions. In that Buffalo Bills loss, we lose that game by 21 points. So, again, the key is or 22, I think. It was 43-21 if I'm not mistaken. Key is take care of the football. In the 3 losses that we've had, 2 of them have come where we've turned it over a bunch. In the 1 loss with 1 turnover, it was a costly one against the Chargers, but you protect the Duke. But back to my original key, which is red zone offense must show up. Last week, that was our undoing. 2 of 5 in the red zone. You didn't even get a field goal up off of one of those red zone trips because Heinicke threw an interception, which was a bad throw and a decision. You left points out on the out on the field. And at the end of the game, it was reflected that you left opportunities out there. You can't do that this week. Of all the games on the schedule, and next week too will be another game like this, but this is the game where you can't afford to go 2 of 5 in the red zone. You can't afford to go 3 of 5 or even 4 of 6. If you don't score a touchdown once, if you go 4 of 5 or 5 of 6 in the red zone, okay, I get it. It happens. But you got to be at least 80% in this game or better. At least in the red zone. So if you're 3 of 4, you're probably going to lose in this game. That's 75%. If you're 4 of 5, you might be able to win. Anything north of 4 or 5, and you're good. But you go 2 of 3 in the red zone, probably going to lose the game. You make 3 trips, you got to score on all 3. You make 4 trips, you got to score on all 4. You make 5 trips, now we're getting to the point where we're scoring a bunch of points. We're moving the football. And if you have to settle for 1 field goal, okay, 80%, you might be able to get away with that and still come away with the victory. But if you only make 2 trips and you go 1 of 2, you're going to lose. You only make 3 trips and you go 2 of 3, you're going to lose. You make 4 trips, and I don't usually say only for 4 trips, but when you're playing the Chiefs and you know they can score 40 without sweating, only is applied to 4. If you only make 4 trips this week, you better score on all 4 of them. If you go there 5 times, now we're getting into that 30 territory. Now we're talking about scoring 30 plus. I can get with that, and if you slip up, that's 31 points. If you go 4 or 5 in the red zone and you make the field goal, that's 31 points. You got a chance to win at that point. You got to score in the red zone. You know my mantra. You know my motto. Field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. You know what it is. Last week, we settled for field goals. We lost the football game. Got to take advantage of opportunities, too. If they turn it over and we got great field position, can't settle for field goals. We were awful last week. Awful. Washington defense versus the Chiefs offense. Limit the big plays. I mean, I almost feel like I'm wasting my breath with that one because for whatever reason, we can't seem to stop teams from being wide open, 40 yards down the field with 7 to 8 yards of space between the nearest defender. We can't seem to do that for some reason. I don't know why that is, but every week there's a guy behind our defense, and I cringe every time the quarterback loads up to throw it deep. We can't see what's back there, but in my mind, I'm saying somebody's wide open. He threw that with confidence. And 90% of the time, that's correct. Someone's wide open back there, and now all we can hope is that the quarterback overshot him. That's all we can hope for. Limit the big plays. That's how the Bills beat them last week. That's how the Chargers beat them, 3 weeks ago. Limit the big plays. Easier said than done. And with our defense, probably less likely to happen, but I'll say it anyway because that's one of the keys to the game. Got to limit the big plays. And when I say limit, I didn't say don't give up any big plays, but they can't have 2 or 3 of them. You're probably going to give up 1 because we just stink. So we're probably going to give up 1. Just leave it at 1. Last week we gave up 2 and that killed us. That was really the game. That Hail Mary killed us. We could have overcome the 72-yarder. It sucks, but we could have overcome it. The Hail Mary, that was the backbreaker. Pick your poison is the next defensive key. Pick your poison. Look, there's a lot of poison over there on that Chiefs offense. You've got to choose which one you're going to allow to beat you. All right, choose your poison. Choose wisely. I don't want any of the speed guys. So Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman, they can't be the guys that kill us in this game because when they kill you, it's a quick death. It's over very, very quickly. I've already stated this. They take you out back, you hear 2 loud pops, and you don't come back. It's over. Whereas with Travis Kelce, that's who I would choose. It's a slow death. Maybe, just maybe, you'll hang in there long enough to where someone comes and saves you. He's going to torture you. 5 here, 7 here, 12 there, 11 here, 17 here, 5, 6, 8, 2, 9, 12, 18. It's a slow death, but you may be able to be rescued. If Mecole Hardman or Tyreek Hill get us, you're dead. They're taking us out back, 2 loud pops, right in your dome, it's over. Because it's 77 and a touchdown. It's 68 and a touchdown. With Kelce, it's a slow, methodical drive that maybe ends in a turnover or the Chiefs go for it on 4th down and fail or their field goal kicker misses. Anything can happen. But with Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman, it's a touchdown. It's over. Pick your poison. I would choose Kelce. Don't let any of the speedsters get you because they end in touchdowns. Definite touchdowns. Next key to the game for the defense. Rattle Mahomes' cage. This year, unlike previous years, Mahomes hasn't dealt with pressure as well. You know, in previous years, come after Mahomes at your own peril. He would extend, and you knew he was finding somebody. This year, he's taking sacks, he's throwing interceptions, he's missing guys. Pressure has been affecting Patrick Mahomes this season. Can we apply enough of it is the key. It's a brand new offensive line all the way across the board. Every single starter for the Chiefs was not a starter last season. Some of that, and they're good, but some of that is a part of the issue. We're catching them early in the season when you're probably best catching them, because when they figure it out and they put it all together, they could become scary. They just added Josh Gordon. He's going to eventually be a big part of their offense if he can keep his head on straight. So we're catching them at a really good time. They're vulnerable. That said, Mahomes is still dangerous, and we all know this. But if you want to make him less dangerous, rattle his cage. No quarterback likes to get hit. No quarterback wants to be under duress. We did a really good job of making Jameis Winston uncomfortable last week. I'd like to duplicate that again this week. Next key to the game for the defense. Plaster, plaster, plaster. Plaster, plaster, plaster. What do I mean? Mahomes is going to extend. That's his thing. That's his deal. He'll run backwards 20 yards to throw it 60 yards, which is a net of 40 yards. Okay? He'll go backwards 12 yards to hit a receiver 5 yards up the field. But the problem is you got lost in the sauce, and now that guy that's only 5 yards up the field has 16 yards of space between the next defender because you didn't stick with him. You got lost and hypnotized by Mahomes running around in the backfield. You can be spellbound by Mahomes running around. As a defensive back, as a linebacker, you can't fall prey and victim to Mahomes scrambling around. Do your job. Your guy is going to do his best to get open for Mahomes. You can't let him do that. Plaster. Stick to that guy. Make sure that when Mahomes scrambles, he's scrambling to run, not scrambling and extending to find a wide open receiver 30 yards down the field. That's how he breaks your back. He's going to scramble. He's going to extend. That's Patrick Mahomes. You have to plaster, plaster, plaster to make him throw it out of bounds, run, or take a sack. Or force him to throw it into coverage and pick it off. He's done that this year too. But you have to plaster. Finally, last key to the game, discipline, turnovers, and special teams. We got to be disciplined defensively. We haven't been disciplined all season long, so I don't know why this is going to be the week that we decide we want to be disciplined. But if you're going to beat the Chiefs and you're going to stop them from scoring 50 gajillion points, going to have to be disciplined. So I'm going to say it anyway, even though I don't think this defense is going to do it. Got to be disciplined. Got to communicate. Can't have bust in the back end of the defense, or else it'll result in a 75-yard Tyreek Hill touchdown or a 68-yard Mecole Hardman touchdown. Turnovers. The Chiefs don't do it often, but they've been doing it a lot this season now. One of the guys, in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I'm actually happy he's not playing, but he's been one of the biggest culprits this year. He's put it on the ground quite a bit. He's not playing. Mahomes has 6 interceptions this year. That's more than Taylor Heineke has this season. What the hell is going on out here? I don't know, and I'm not holding my breath that we'll contribute to that total and add to it, but it'd be nice if Mahomes fumbled, or one of the receivers fumbled, or we picked him off, or something like that happened in this game. But I'm not holding my breath. But it'd be nice to generate a turnover or two. And then finally, special teams. It'd be nice if special teams was special. A block punt, a nice return. Dustin Hopkins makes all of his kicks. You know, even the minuscule is a victory. And that's Dustin Hopkins making all of his extra points and making all of his kicks. I don't want him attempting many field goals in this game because you won't win that way. If he attempts one field goal, okay, that's fine. That might be the game winner for all I know. But I need him to make all of his extra points because if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to kick quite a few extra points. In my mind, probably like 5 in this game, to be exact. Extra points if you want to beat the Chiefs. Minimum of 5. Don't think you're going to beat them with 4, personally. So, we're going to see. Now, bottom line is special teams needs to show up. Can't have any big returns. We got to win special teams. Not sure if we're going to win offensively, and I'm not sure if we're going to win defensively. We got to win special teams. You got to win 2 out of the 3 if you want to win more likely than not. And so don't know which one of those we're going to be able to get, but special teams has to be one of them. So those are my keys to the game, which leads us to my final outcome. I've said this already. I said it last week when we were playing the Saints. I didn't think we were going to win this game or the next game. And I'm not moving off of the spot. They haven't done anything to encourage me, to make me think, other than we did look better defensively. We still gave up 33 points. So as encouraged as I want to be, there's still a limit and a cap on that because it didn't actually show up on the scoreboard. So the Chiefs are struggling. Yep, I know it's not the same Kansas City Chiefs team. I don't care. I don't care. They're the Chiefs. I don't care. They got Mahomes. I don't care. There's the same Chiefs team that put up 42 just 2 weeks ago against the Eagles, and I think the Eagles defensively are playing better football than we are right now. So if they can do that to the Eagles, they can do that shit to us. So I got this one 39-23. Chiefs run away and hide with this one. I don't think this thing is ever really close. I think they jump on us early. I think they jump on us often. And I think before we know it, we're midway through the third quarter, and this thing is 36, to 13. And, we're lost in the sauce, and they essentially take their foot off the gas because they got us. They don't have to stress. This game is not in jeopardy. Similar to the Bills game, that shit was over in the third quarter. Josh Allen, was on the bench with 7 minutes in the fourth quarter, chumming it up with teammates. I wouldn't be shocked if Mahomes is doing the same thing in this game. They're going to take their foot off the gas pedal. Normally, you don't take the foot off the gas pedal till you get to 40, though. I don't see them getting to 40 because they decide they don't need 40. But I can see them getting to 43. I can see them getting to 43 or 42 in this game. But I got them at 39. Just missing a 40 burger. Just missing a 40 burger. But it's going to be ugly. I don't expect us to be ultra competitive in this game. And I think this might be the beginning of the season starting to unravel. I don't think you're going to see guys quit. But you're going to feel like, where was the effort? They didn't quit, but you didn't feel like you had the best effort from the guys in this game. I think you're going to feel that way after this game is done. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I am a Washington football fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. It'd be nice if they could win this one for Sean. But this isn't the Sean Taylor game. That doesn't come until late November, the anniversary of his passing. So I'm not putting that kind of pressure on them to win this game because I don't think they're going to win it anyway. But it'd be nice if for one day the stadium was filled with fans of the burgundy and gold and they actually helped energize the team and help them get an improbable victory. That's what storybook endings are made of. That's Hollywood stuff. That doesn't happen to us. And we don't deserve it, to be honest with you. So, as fans, we do, but this organization doesn't. And the football gods usually don't smile on fans. It more so regulates organizations and teams and games. So, I don't think it's going to have any mercy on us in this particular game. So, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I'd love to hear your comments. Score and more down in the comment section. Leave it along with a like, a sub, and make sure you hit that notification bell if you haven't already done that as well. For me, your man Louie T, I'm out of here. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys after the game. You know where to find me. Washington Football Overtime. See you then.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30.